All right, so let's get into the AFC playoff picture, ladies and gentlemen. We got the Patriots sitting atop the standings at 12-3, followed by Pittsburgh, Jacksonville, Kansas City. Then you have Baltimore, Tennessee in the wild card slots as we stand. A lot of turnover possible in the wild card standings, but let's go through the scenarios here, top, bottom, Harris. We'll start off with the New England Patriots.
Yep.
The situation with them, very simple. They win. They clinch home field advantage.
And, they're going against a Jets team that I do believe is going to be quarterbacked by either Bryce Petty or Christian Hackenberg next week. So, you don't want to put it into the book until you put it into the book, but it's probably about to happen. I mean, the Steelers also have to lose. Maybe they both tie and the Patriots also get it. But, look, home field advantage for this team, and I think the first-round bye especially, might be more important to any Patriots team than ever. I mean, even Tom Brady is banged up. He hasn't practiced on, I think, Wednesday now for 3 consecutive weeks because he has an Achilles and a shoulder injury. A lot of the team is banged up. So that first-round bye for the Patriots, I think, is bigger this year than it has been in such a long time for this team.
All right, so the Patriots have a chance to get that #1 overall seed. How about Pittsburgh? They, too, can grab that #1 seed in the AFC. Here's what has to happen. They have to win against Cleveland to send the Browns to 0-16. Couple that with New England either losing to the Jets or tying with the Jets, or Steelers tie and Patriots lose.
Yeah, and the thing that's kind of interesting about this, the Jets do always play the Patriots tough. So this isn't just a shoo-in that, the Patriots are going to win. No, it'll be a tough one, but just like with the Patriots, that first-round bye for the Steelers, plus them being able to get home field advantage up until they most likely have to play the Patriots in Foxborough, is huge for that team because they need to get Antonio Brown back. I'm sorry, I don't think this team can go anywhere without Antonio Brown in the playoffs. That extra week, so it'll end up being almost about 3 weeks, almost a month by the time that Antonio Brown would come back from that partially torn calf. They need all the time they can get for him. He's not going to play this week, obviously, and they'll have the bye, obviously, in the first round the week after. So pretty big for the Steelers and the Pats to get these first-round byes.
All right, so that's the deal with New England and Pittsburgh. Jacksonville's locked in as the #3 seed in the AFC. They have clinched the AFC South. They will be resting some of their starters, at least for a portion of the game this week, as they take on the Titans. There are the Chiefs there as the 4th team. They are the AFC West winners. They are locked in as the #4 seed as well. They are starting Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
Very exciting for many Chiefs fans.
Well, many Chiefs fans and also resident Patrick Mahomes truther Harris Rubenstein over here. Very excited for Patrick Mahomes to start an NFL game. I think, because watch out, Cam. He's going to throw for like 4 touchdowns, and you're going to hear the questions. Should they start Patrick Mahomes for the playoff game and all that crazy stuff? But I'm excited to see what the kid can do.
All right, so here's where things get interesting, talking about the wild card situation. Let's start off with the Baltimore Ravens. They're at 9-6, the #5 seed as we stand. Very simple, Harris. They win, they're in.
Yeah, and I'm actually really impressed by the late season charge the Ravens have been able to make. It's been helped along by a pretty easy schedule. I'm not going to hold that Colts game against them. It was cold. It was rainy. The holiday season. The game got moved back. It was kind of a funky game all around. They got the W, but big game for them this week. I think that, this is a Ravens team that for me really hasn't proven it on a national stage against really good teams. They're not going to have a chance again this week, going against an awful team. But
Bengals.
The Bengals, yeah. So we'll see what happens with this Ravens squad going into it. I think they're more likely to end up with the 6th seed. The real question is, though, what are they going to have with the other teams? Because the Ravens, they're most likely going to win. I think the Titans, the Chargers, and the Bills are the teams to watch out for. Because in order for the Titans to get in, we'll bring this up now, they have to win. Or even if they lose, they can still get in if the Bills and the Chargers also lose.
Correct.
So
they could get in at 8-8.
Yeah, I think the Ravens are already a shoo-in to get in. It's these other 3 teams that are just wild to me.
So the Titans take on a Jaguars team with very little motivation to play their starters this week.
Surprising to me, by the way.
Yes, so that falls in favor for the Tennessee Titans, by the way, a team that has looked very uninspiring in recent weeks.
And then if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars, and this is something that I think the franchise will have to learn, if you have the opportunity to put the knife into one of your division rivals when they're reeling to keep them out of the playoffs, you do it every single time. Because what happens if the Titans get that 6th spot, have to play Jacksonville, who they've already played twice this year? It is really difficult to win those games, especially against the division rival. Trust me, the Jets have beaten the Patriots a couple times after playing twice in the regular season. If you have a chance to take out a division rival, do it every single time. It will always come back to bite you in the butt. I think it's a mistake if they rest their starters.
The LA Chargers are on the outside looking in. They need a lot to go right for them to get into the playoffs. Here are the listings. The Chargers have to win against Oakland. I think that is a pretty high possibility. Here's the other thing now. Tennessee has to lose to Jacksonville, and Buffalo has to lose to Miami, or the Ravens have to lose to Cincinnati. I'm not even going to read that third one. The Chargers got a tie. Titans
and ties. As the resident AFC East expert of Chat Sports, the level of confidence I have in the Bills to beat the Dolphins this weekend in Week 17 is approximately 2%.
I agree.
Just this is what they do every year, and I loved it. In the middle of the season, the Bills were like 6-3 or something, and everyone's like, "Oh, look at the Bills go! They're finally going to make the playoffs." And I said on this program, I said, "No, they are not." This is what the Bills do. They get you really excited because they play tough-nosed football in the beginning of the year, and then it slowly just falls to pieces in the most sad way possible. They're going to end up as an 8-8 football team, and guess what? If they started Tyrod Taylor in that game, they probably would have made the playoffs if they didn't start Nathan Peterman.
So the Buffalo Bills here, sitting at 8-7, that's what they need to do. They need to win, and they need Cincinnati to stun Baltimore, or Buffalo wins, Chargers lose to Oakland, and the Titans lose to Jacksonville. Look, this all doesn't really look great for Buffalo, at least in my opinion.
I think the second option we have on there, that the Chargers and the Titans lose, I think that is the most possible
thing
to happen.
LA losing to Oakland.
I could see LA losing to Oakland. Again, it goes back to, if you have a chance to keep a division rival out of the playoffs, you should try your absolute hardest to be able to do so. And if you're the Raiders, they have nothing to play for except to keep the Chargers out of the playoffs. You know they're going to be devoted in order to do that, because guarantee the players are still mad that they're going to Las Vegas instead of Los Angeles. Who knows, Cam? Who knows? I think it's going to be a motivator.
Okay, so that's where we stand in the AFC right now, folks. A lot of scenarios at play as we head into Week 17. For you folks at home, who wins the AFC? And this is not a question of who gets the #1 overall seed. This is a question of who wins the AFC Championship game.
You know, and it's kind of difficult because I think it totally relies on the health of Antonio Brown. You know, as much as I do appreciate this Patriots team and I do, love what Tom Brady's been doing this year, I will be the first to admit that this is probably one of the worst Patriots teams to end up with a 1 seed in my lifetime. I mean, the overall talent level of the team really isn't there. The offense is great, mostly because Gronkowski is having maybe the best season of his career so far this year. But for the most part, the surrounding pieces just aren't that good. I think the Steelers have a more talented football team, but what has got the Patriots going this year has been the system, the Bill Belichick don't make mistakes at the end of the game system, and that's been what's getting them going.
All right, folks, throw in those reactions. We'll be tracking them as we let you know. We're presented by Mizzen and Maine. Fantastic performance fabric shirts that you will absolutely love. No ironing needed, no dry cleaning either.
Nope.
And this material wicks away sweat as well. Really fantastic product. Check them out. Comfortable.af is the website, Harris.
Yeah, my mom actually bought me one for Hanukkah. It was awesome. I opened it up. I was like, what is this shirt? And all of a sudden I started to feel, I was like, yes, it's a Mizzen and Maine shirt. It's great.
You can tell when you put it on, no doubt about it.
They're so comfortable. Just buy one. I'm telling you. You won't, once you believe it, once you have it in your hands. It's amazing.
It's NFL Daily, presented by Mizzen and Maine. We are going through the playoff picture across the NFL. Just did the AFC. Let's take a look at the NFC now.
Go to the other side.
So the #1 overall seed has already been locked up on this side.
Yeah.
Philadelphia has clinched that. Now here's where it gets interesting. Minnesota could possibly not get a bye week if they were to lose to the Bears this week. Here's how they get that first round bye. They have to win against Chicago or tie, or the Panthers lose to Atlanta or tie, or how about this? The Saints win against Tampa Bay. All seem somewhat reasonable.
Yes. All this seems somewhat reasonable. I think the Vikings are basically locked in at this point. This is a Chicago Bears team that's not fighting for anything. The team isn't very good. They know John Fox is on his way out. I think for the most part, this Vikings team's locked in.
All right, so that's the situation with Minnesota. All right, how about the #3 seed, the LA Rams? They are locked in there. They won the West.
They have won the West. Surprising for me, though, that they aren't actually going to play their starters. I understand that they're playing the 49ers this week. You know, they might think they can win that game, but I'll tell you, Jimmy G is going to have other plans when he's going up against the Rams. But if I was the Rams, I'd play my starters. You want to know why? What happens if the Saints win? and all of a sudden you have to play the Panthers. Who would you rather play? I'd most certainly rather play the Atlanta Falcons or the Seattle Seahawks over the Carolina Panthers if the Saints win. I think this is a mistake by Sean McVay. I understand that you're trying to rest your starters for the playoffs. You don't want people to get injured, but we have seen time and time again that playoff seeding is just as important as your total win-loss ratio. Where do you end up and who you end up playing and where is incredibly important. And I think that this Rams team actually matches up pretty poorly against the Panthers as an overall matchup. I think it's going to be difficult, but I think they match up great against the Falcons. I'm kind of confused why they aren't trying to lock in that 3 seed.
All right, just for clarification purposes, they are locked in as the West winner. They are not locked in as the number 3 seed. Correct. Just want to correct myself in case any confusion.
Yeah, because they can be 11-5, the Saints can be 12-4.
Yep, so there are the Saints, and the Rams are ahead of the Saints because of that head-to-head tiebreaker. New Orleans has clinched a playoff berth. They have not clinched the South yet. They can do that this week if they win against Tampa Bay or Carolina loses to Atlanta. Also, the Saints can tie and the Panthers can tie.
That win over Atlanta was actually bigger than people think, because not only could they have lost the chance of the NFC South, they could have ended up actually as the 6th seed. So they could have dropped from 3 to 6 in a matter of 2 weeks if they also lost this week's game. But that win over Atlanta was massive for that team and that franchise. It's still crazy to me. The Saints have been in the lead all year long. Going into Week 17, the Panthers have the same exact record. You could make a solid argument the Panthers might be just as good, if not better, which is crazy considering how good Kamara and Ingram have been this year.
There's actually a possibility for Carolina to get a bye week. Before we get to that, though, Carolina can clinch the South with the following. They win this week, and the Saints lose or tie somehow to Tampa Bay, a team that played Carolina pretty tough last week.
They did play Carolina. They've played the Falcons really tough the week before. They played the Panthers tough last week, and they're going to play the Saints tough this week. Look, I understand that this is a Bucs team that really hasn't been good this year, but this is still a team with a lot of pride. Jameis Winston, for all the crap we give him, is an unbelievably competitive guy. You saw him on the sidelines in that game against the Panthers at the end of the game. He did not want to lose. This guy is not – he doesn't know how to lose. So I think – we're going to see a Bucs team really give this Saints team a run for their money, especially inside of Tampa Bay. I don't think this is just a shoo-in for a Saints win. I think the Bucs are going to give them a run for their money.
All right, so those are the scenarios for Carolina to win the South.
This is great.
Here's what they need to happen
I love this.
For them to get a first-round bye. They win, the Saints lose/tie to Tampa. The Vikings lose to Chicago. The Rams lose/tie this week against their opponent.
Can you imagine? I understand the Rams would, but the thing that's crazy about this, all this is plausible. This is all like the Vikings losing to the Bears, maybe not so much, but the Panthers ending up as maybe the 3 seed by the end of the day, or even the 2 seed is completely believable to me. They're way better than the 5 seed. I think like I said before, I think they might be better than the Saints, but the fact that the Panthers might end up as the 2 seed is wild. This is why I love the NFL playoff picture going towards the end of the year.
All right, and there you go. So Carolina sitting there as the number 5 seed. Here is where there's more uncertainty. That number 6 slot.
Right.
Either Atlanta or Seattle, depending on what happens. Atlanta controls their own destiny here. If they win this week, they are in. But they take on the Carolina Panthers. That won't be an easy task.
No, it will not.
Or if Seattle somehow loses to Drew Stanton and the Cardinals this week.
Well, not just Drew Stanton and the Cardinals. It might be Bruce Arians' last game. And
True.
We know that locker room loves Bruce Arians. So they're going to be there fighting for that game. But the Falcons, they need a prove-it game for me. They rolled over against the New Orleans Saints last week. They got absolutely whipped all game long. And now they have to go up against a Panthers team who, frankly, is way better than them, also in their division. And now they have to do it at home. Can you imagine if the Panthers or the Falcons lost this game at home, Seahawks win and take the playoff spot away from the team that made it to the Super Bowl last year? That would be the most typical Falcons thing ever. I think they need to buck the trend as a Super Bowl hangover team and really show up in this game. This is a way bigger game than I think people realize.
All right, so for Seattle, they're on the outside looking in. They don't control their own destiny. They have to win and get help from Atlanta, so the Falcons would have to lose or tie for Seattle to get into the postseason. And Harris, I said this morning on my show, I don't think Seattle deserves a spot in the playoffs. I just don't.
They do, but they also don't. If they are able to win the last 2 games of the year and get into the playoff due to random scenarios, I think they do. But at the same time, I mean, Look, this should be the Russell Wilson is 9-6, not the actual Seattle Seahawks. I mean, Byron Maxwell in that secondary did play well against the Cowboys, but at the same time, it's all Russell Wilson.
All right, seeing a lot of great comments. Martin, Caleb, Steven, thank you guys for chiming in, and we want you all to vote on this reaction poll here. Who wins the NFC? And the question is, who wins the NFC Championship game? Eagles, Vikings, Rams, another team that could surprise. Harris, where are you leaning here?
I think it might be the Rams. I think the Rams might be the best team in the NFC right now. Think about it. The Vikings are a great team, but I think the Vikings are primed to get randomly upset in this playoff run. I know that's kind of weird to say, oh, how can you predict something like that? You never know when Case Keenum is going to come crashing down to earth. Eventually, it might just happen. It just all explodes in front of them. This isn't a high-scoring team. If you're able to score maybe 24 points against them and Case Keenum struggles for a half of football, you could win against them about 24-20. This Rams offense can put up 35 points on you like that. And ever since they lost that game to the Seahawks at home, where they only scored about 10 points, the offense has been on absolute fire. So I don't really think there's a defense out there that's going to be able to stop this Rams team from scoring a lot of points. And look, people, I'm sorry. I don't care how many times you try to convince me, I don't believe in Nick Foles, especially not in the playoffs.